That's clearance. Have a great show.
You are listening to Absolute Scenes, the podcast that makes a resolution to drink less alcohol, do more exercise, get rid of the fake plastic friends, and just going to concentrate on it and the kids. I am Andy Barton, and joining me resolutely as always is a person who doesn't need a new year, new them. It's Gabrielle Shepherd!
Hey, hello Andy.
Hello.
This is so exciting that we're here again.
I would like to say by popular demands, but that seems a little bit...
Shush. We've had such an incredible response.
Yeah,
Andy's playing it down as if we haven't had the most incredible feedback.
It's been good.
And we're only just starting. And I think some of the comments we've had people from Australia, America, Wales,
and also being asked to be on the show.
You know, we're just at the beginning of this, but I feel like thank you so much for listening, everyone who has given us feedback or tuned in, or especially the people who aren't in the industry as well, that have been listening to just get a bit of an insight. It's been very heartwarming.
It's been good, isn't it? And the things I'm curious about, obviously how it continues, which is great in a joyful way. Also how the slightly extra medium that we're now doing of.
This is YouTube
digital YouTube. Hello. Because beforehand you would just have that one screen and just
we just had a placeholder image.
Yeah.
But now we're moving into visuals. So Andy's done his makeup this time.
Yeah, let the dog see the rabbit, as my drama teacher used to say.
But yeah, I think, and we've got some really exciting guests. We've got very different job roles, but also some of the same, which is going to be really interesting to see that different perspective in the same role. So that's really cool. Also, just to gently say, any coffees you want to buy us on our Buy Us a Coffee page would be incredible. It just makes this sustainable. And
any feedback or questions you want asking or guests that you want on, the Absolute Scenes podcast at gmail.com.
So I guess let's dive in. Our guest this week is Florence Espeut-Nickless, who is an incredible theatre maker, actor, writer from the Southwest, originally from Chippenham. And she has such a great perspective on this industry. We go into a lot about her background. We go into a lot about how she started making work herself. And I guess the reason we wanted to get Flo on is because of, the writing angle.
As a writing, yeah.
So
working class writer as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And obviously you write. I don't write so much. I'm more of a theatre maker, I would say. One of the plays I did write was more of I felt like I wrote about 10 pages, brought it into the room, and then we devised and made around that.
Nice.
Because I don't feel I don't know if I feel eloquent enough to be a full-blown sat down, write a full script writer. I'm much more of a physical person, so I like to work around something. And I love to retell old stories as well. So that's why I think it's more like that. But yeah, I just there's something about a really great writer when you read their words. I was really lucky to work on a script by, do you know Beth Flintoff?
I know, we haven't met, but yeah.
She is incredible. And the words she writes, and she said herself, she's such a nerd. She really goes into the history. We worked on Henry I together.
Oh, brilliant.
And she had details, but also just the way her words flow. When you get a script from a writer that is just, it's amazing. It just feels natural and innate, but also there's a beauty there, which I love. So yeah, writers are magic.
They're great.
Super magic. And you were talking earlier about you've got an idea that
I'm actually into the script now. Sort of, I'm probably only about a fifth of a way into it. Is a one-person show that has been gestating in my brain for the last 8 years, I think. And I have never really been ready to, I always thought that the timing hasn't been right for me to do it, or I just couldn't think of I could never think of the reason why this story needs to be told.
It's so important. I find that really important. Like, why am I telling this right now?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I just haven't. And then on top of that, I was like, okay, well, how do I tell this story as well? And then things just aligned in the last sort of like few months, whereby I either saw stuff and went, okay, that's unlocked something actually where I think I know how to tell my story. And I also think that now it's the right time to tell the story.
That's so
although being somewhat cryptic is pretty uncomfortable. So,
and Andy has said that he's not ready to share yet what it is, but like at some point, I'm so excited to read it.
It will probably get mentioned at some point.
Yeah,
but yeah, so it will be. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see how it is. It's funny you're saying about like especially working and reading other people's stuff. We did when I did my MA at East 15. We worked with the MA script writers at Essex University. Did you ever do that?
Oh, no, we didn't.
Yeah, so we did it
when
a
you
lot.
have cross-course collaboration.
They came over from Colchester.
Amazing.
And would then, we would work with them in the room with their scripts. Oh man, it was like
I love working
so
on new
good.
writing and like picking it and offering things and
there was this one I'm going to highlight. It was 9 years ago, so I'm ever so sorry I'm not crediting his name because it was 9 years ago and I've got no way to access
the name is gone.
This chap's name. But he was on the screenwriting course in Colchester, so at Essex University on the MA course, and he's sort of grown up with like amateur boxing and that sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
And so his story was around. It was set in the ring. It was a two-hander.
Excellent.
But not only was it around sort of like in a boxing ring, and around what the characters were doing and talking about there, but he'd written it in verse. So that the rhythm was going with and you can see this if you're watching this on YouTube now, but the rhythm of the verse and the pentameter was going with what the action they were doing as they were throwing punches or defending. But in between that.
Writers are magic.
Yeah, right.
Writers are magic.
And I was like, and it was like because at first you're like, well, okay, how's this going to work? Yeah. It's like, why you've written it in verse? What's because that's very specific for those who may or may not know.
Especially for like boxing. Yeah. You wouldn't expect something to be in verse for boxing.
And when you read it, it's done on opposite sides of the page so that it all sort of like so it fits together. So it reads really weirdly because you're like part of it is written on the left hand side and part of it is written on the right. But when you've got two boxers sparring corner to corner and you're just like, not only can you then visualize this on paper, but then when you're watching it up on its feet, you can then hear in the rhythm of the words and if the actors are doing the jobs first, how that brilliant. Just
which
like
is really a brilliant segue into our interview with Flo, because Flo talks about her inspiration with like spoken word and music and all of those things with her play Destiny. But I'll let the interview speak for itself and her speak about that. So I guess let's just jump into the interview.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you so much again, listener, for being here, and loads of love. And we'll see you on the flip side.
See you on the other side. Debs and I are joined now by today's guests. You may remember her from writing such plays as Miracle on 34 Seymour Street, Little Red, and the National Theatre's retelling of The Odyssey. Her debut play Destiny, which she also performs in, has toured the UK and Europe and was nominated for an Off-West End Award. Hailing from Chippenham, she writes about and with working class communities with the aim to make the arts far more accessible. She's a very friendly and welcoming face in the Bristol art scene, and I particularly enjoy our rants and bants about the industry at the front desk. It's Florence Espeut-Nickless. I'm so sorry, I just said your name completely wrong.
How do you, let's
No, it's
clarify
all
this.
good.
How do you say your gorgeous name?
No, I think you kind of said it right.
Kind of.
Yeah, I think you did well. A lot of people didn't way off. Florence Espeut-Nickless.
Espeut-Nickless.
Espeut-Nickless, yeah.
It's Florence Espeut-Nickless.
Hey!
I don't know whether in the edits that we'll just keep all the. We'll see what the vibe is of the whole thing to see, and also we'll check with you.
I love it.
We're real people here. We keep it real.
Thank you and welcome. How are you doing?
Hi.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming.
Of course.
We're very excited.
We always so we start each episode, or at least with the guests on anyway. When the guest comes, we start with an icebreaker question. So it's not too deep, but just to sort of ease all of us into the episode. So the icebreaker question is: would you rather write the life of somebody else, or have somebody else write the life of you?
Oh,
I
that's a
didn't
good
know
one.
Oh, I love that.
that.
Excellent work, Andy.
Yeah, so I didn't tell you about that.
No, you didn't tell me what it was.
That's a good one. I never thought about it before, so I'm just thinking about it now. What would I think? I don't know. I feel like I'd probably rather write the life of someone else. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
I think I was talking to someone about that yesterday, like a friend. I feel at that point where I really like it when someone sort of come a bit more now, like people kind of come to me with like maybe their story or a bit of their story or like some of the shows I've worked on and written, that's what they've been, like someone who isn't a writer or kind of, you know, everyone can write, but they don't necessarily think they're a writer or have the confidence or whatever. So I think that's a gift when someone comes to you and is like, oh, would you like help me to tell this part of my story? And I'm like running out of my own. My life's only so interesting.
Like I've told everything.
Yeah. I feel like I've rinsed my own life quite a lot. So but it would be cool. I don't know. It would be interesting the other side as well to see. Like,
how they would interpret like you as a person.
I was just going to say that.
Versus how you see yourself.
I'm not against it. Yeah.
Ooh,
I guess it's giving over like quite a lot of control, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
I guess it's sort of like, it's probably maybe why Hollywood only does these biographies of people who are dead, so that the ones who are alive can't go.
No, I also think it's because they want the sad ending to be like, they love a sad. Who would you choose to write about, and who would you choose to write your life?
Who would I choose to write about? Oh God, that's like.
I mean, there's probably loads, right?
Yeah, it's putting me on the spot. I don't know. Like, I'm kind of more interested in. Maybe that's a lame thing to say, but I sort of am more interested in people that aren't like known. Do you know what I mean? Like not famous, like celebrity. Obviously, there's loads of like very well-known people that have interesting stories, but for me, it is more interesting to get
like actual people.
Yeah, like people.
Not that celebrities aren't.
Yeah, but like people, you know, like regular people or whatever you want to call them, is more interesting to me.
Yeah.
So I can't think of like a specific example.
It's like you want to be presented with the story. Okay, get your stories into flow, everyone. She'll pick one of you to write the life story. She's like, I'm busy. I can't. I ain't got time.
I can't do it. Yeah. I think there's like responsibility and care with both, isn't there? That you have to manage.
Nice.
Like the one time I've done it in a play, which like has already been on. And it was like the artist I was working with, who's a singer-songwriter, but not like a scriptwriter. And he sort of gifted me with some of his very personal, like quite difficult story. Which felt like a huge privilege and a huge gift. But there's a lot of care around that. And like even I always feel that in my work, like because it is quite closely connected to my community, where I'm from, my background. So there's always a bit of a like, what are people going to think? How's it going to land? Like most of the time, my experience has been quite positive, and it's like people are, they're like hyped and they're like,
you're writing about
they're like, and it's kind of the opposite. They're like, why aren't I in it? Like when you, I'm like,
I heard you say this before. Was it you were like, I was down the pub and everyone's like, tell my story.
Yeah, they're like, when am I do get ran when, and like if you just meet people in the pub and like people you don't know or whatever, and they've had a few pints or whatever, then they just start, they're like, I got a story, and they start like telling me. I don't know. I think it's not dissimilar to the question you get asked when you're an actor, which is, what have you had on TV that I've seen? Or people just not like that. It's just how their knowledge of
they're trying to
yeah.
It's funny though, because we all get like very like about that question, but actually like I think they're trying to connect with you. They're trying to tap in with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people it's obviously like prove yourself to me, which I'm like bye.
But
I think a lot of people are just like, how can I understand your world? Like how do I hook into that? So yeah, I get it. I get why people say it.
It's people like like you said, it's people trying to connect. And if it's people like that are outside of the industry, often it is around that. It's like they'll be like, oh, do you want to like the builder that was doing work in my flats was really sweet, from like, where's he from? Clevedon or something. When I told him, I was like, you know, when you just say to someone that you're like a playwright, and then he's like, fear, it's not really for me. And I was like, yeah, fair.
That sounds boring.
And then he's really not like, we get on really well. He's like proper sound. And then he comes in, the work was going on for a while. So then he's like coming in the next day. And he's like, oh, I've just seen for you, Emmerdale, they're looking for like script right. And he's like seen the advert. And then every time I see him, he's like, have you applied for Emmerdale? Yeah.
At what point are you going to be like, yeah. Oh, I didn't get it. I'm so sorry.
Not like, and obviously that's a great gig, a great job. But I was like, I feel like I probably wouldn't get it because I don't really watch Emmerdale. Like I'd have to do a lot of
but also like soap is a very specific thing, right? And I think a lot of people, again, that's a lot of people's hooking. Yeah, exactly. Because my granddad's exactly the same. He's like, when are you going to be on EastEnders then? Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to get seen for EastEnders. I don't know anything about soaps.
But they're like, you should write into EastEnders and get on it.
Just write to the head of BBC.
As though it's,
I'm trying.
Yeah. But in terms of like walking into somewhere and getting a job, like how did you get started in the industry?
I started in acting, like performing, when I was a teenager. I got kicked out of secondary school basically, like when I was in year 10. So I like struggled. I was like academic. I was quite, I'd always sort of been quite like bright or whatever, like, and done well, like in terms of grades and that. But I like struggled in like the mainstream school. I struggled in that environment.
It's not built for everyone.
And like when I got to secondary school, I started to just like struggle with like focus and concentration, and I just had a lot of like energy and like creativity. And I sort of, and like things are going on in your life like outside of school, and I kind of needed somewhere to like express and let that stuff out. They didn't really know because I was in like high sets, but I like,
because you were academically doing,
so I was in like top sets for like sort of across the board. But I like messed about and was like naughty. So I was like in with all these very like quite studious kids that like wanted to get their head down.
So
and
the teacher were like,
and when then other kids' parents started complaining about me, that's when they were like,
no, oh my god,
no, okay.
So it's a long-winded answer.
No, it's great.
But so I basically sort of year 10, they were like, you can't come to lessons. And then the only teacher that like backed me, it's like a sort of typical story for people, for some people that end up in the arts or whatever. The only teacher that backed me was my drama teacher. So she was like, oh, Flo's great. Like, she's good at drama. She like does, because I like enjoyed it and I was like doing what I was into. So so I was allowed to go to drama, but I wasn't allowed to go to any other lessons. So you didn't
get kicked out completely, but
they tried. And then my parents, luckily, like, my mum at the time, because my mum had gone back, my mum was doing a law degree at the time. I'm like one of 5 kids. So she was like bringing up 5 kids, went back into education.
Wow.
She's very like smart.
Fair play, mum.
Yeah. And she knew they like fought the school basically. So they tried to kick me out. They tried to get me to go to college. They were like, oh, you can go to college and do hairdressing or beauty therapy. And I was like,
have you ever shown any interest in that?
God.
So
that's the
not
classic,
like those are obviously amazing, like
but that
amazing
wasn't
professions,
what you were.
And like it's an amazing skill like to those jobs, and
100%. But it wasn't what you were interested in.
And like a lot of my friends, like a lot of my girlfriends, that's what they went and did. That was like a bit of a turning point, I guess. The drama teacher like backing me. I used to have to go. I had my lessons in the like isolation. Yeah, like.
Yeah,
So
we all know that
yeah,
room. Yeah,
I
yeah.
like was in they called it the annex in my school. It was like where the naughty kids are like locked in.
Yeah.
So I used to go there, but the guy in there who ran it was like amazing. Yeah, he was, again, it's just like having these adults in it that sort of back you and support you and like they don't just like write you off. Yeah. So like there was a couple of them that basically supported me, and then I went to college in Trowbridge.
Yeah.
When I was and did a BTEC like in performing arts when I was 16.
Nice. Love that.
Love that.
that.
They have saved so many of us.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
I went somewhere new, so it was like starting afresh.
Nice.
Yeah, you
I
don't
hear
have
that.
like the kind of reputation and all of that stuff. So I literally, school they couldn't get me to go into. Like I would like just hardly ever be there. Like they'd be like trying to drag me in by the end. College, I like. Bam. I never missed a day.
Wow.
Like, I just showed up for 2 years. I like traveled.
Because you were just doing drama, I'm guessing.
Yeah. And like they were amazing. Like the teachers that ran it, like they were amazing. They like they treated us like we were like professionals. Yeah, they were like they took it very seriously and were like, this is what you need. Like if you want to be an actor, like this is what you need to do. They like instilled like discipline and stuff. And that's like for me, I like needed that. And they made us take it like seriously. So I did that. Good. And then like, I hadn't really thought about it because I sort of hadn't really been getting on at school. So it wasn't really on my radar that much, but doing that course at college and they were like, they just encouraged us to like, they were like, apply for drama school, apply for uni.
So at that point, were you like focused on being an actor?
Yeah.
So at what point did like writing?
Much later, yeah.
Okay. So you, where did you go to uni? What was your course like?
So I went to a uni in London, but then I like went mad. No, I went wild.
Oh, really?
Like Chippenham girl in the big city. Like, basically near Camden, and I was just like had a wild time. And the course wasn't really. I think I thought the course was going to be like way more practical than it was, and it ended up being like very like academic theory based. So I like did it for like a few months, and then I was just like, it's not for me. For various reasons, I come back, and then I ended up going. So I like made this whole thing of like, I'm moving to London, everybody. Like it was like this massive. And then
the
like
old Dick Whittington effect.
Literally, it's so embarrassing. And then
but also like fair play, because I'm guessing you were like 18.
Yeah,
like fair play for
18.
being like, actually this isn't right for me, because I know so many people who just were like, well, this is what I've done now, and I've got to go do this for 3 years and then have paid all this money and like have a degree that they didn't enjoy and didn't help them. So like fair play for being like, nah.
Thank you. I think that was like the best decision, like you said. I don't look back on that and been like, oh, I should have stayed. I came back and straight away I was like, I knew I wanted to like, I was like, I still want to go to uni or go to drama school. It wasn't like, I was just like, that course wasn't right for me. That place wasn't right for me. So I like applied again to a few places, and then I went to Bath Spa and did it was performing arts course at the time. Now it's like acting, but it was essentially like an acting degree. So I did that, which was like, it was good. Like, it was a good course. Well, like with anything, there's like challenges, isn't there? And like, but like it was definitely a good move. But I always had this thing about wanting to go to drama school. Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Maybe you can relate, but I'd always, like, even though that uni course, like they sort of ran it, they essentially ran it like a drama school, and it was set up and run at the time.
Much more practical, like
it was super practical, like literally, like, and since I have been to drama school, and it was like very similar, the main difference was there was like at drama school was less people on the course, where like the uni course had more people on it, and
but you still went to drama school then?
So I like come out of bar, I finished at uni. That was sort of around the time I was like writing a bit then, but I wasn't like writing plays. So I had always been into I loved reading as a kid, so I'd like read
Yeah.
loads. My mum's really into reading like literature. There was always like books, you know, like I was like encouraged to read. So I'd always been into like language and story and all of that. But I never knew you could be like a writer really, like as your job or, you know, career. And the only thing I really knew about was like being an actor, maybe a director, but you didn't really even think about or know about these other roles, do you? Obviously there's loads. And when I was at uni, so I like, and spoken word kind of performance poetry was obviously it's been around for a long time, you know, like decade or whatever, going way back, but it was becoming more like mainstream, I suppose, and this crossover between music and poetry. Like people like Kay Tempest that like were becoming, and like George there was like these people coming through, like so I was like dabbling a bit with that in terms of writing, and we did stand-up comedy on my uni course, so I also did stand-up.
Oh, that's really
cool. We did it as part of the course, and then like I was like, all right, there was like a handful of us that the teacher was sort of encouraged to carry on. We're like, it's something you could explore if you wanted to. So I did that for like a little bit, not outside of uni, which is like stressful and very like terrifying. Like
I've got a couple of friends who do it, and I'm like, fair play, mate.
Mad respect for comedians. Like 100%. I did like a little bit of just like local like gigs, and like I was just like the nerves and that I couldn't like handle. I was just like so stressful. And then I went up to Edinburgh, not with a play, but you just see the like experience of like. So I was like dabbling in writing, not like plays, but in different kind of mediums and forms, I guess. Then I come out of uni anyway, but I was just like set on this. I was like, I need
drama school thing.
Drama school. And then for some like personal reasons, I had a bit of a break, like. I stopped just some stuff that went on that was really hard. So I and that knocked my confidence a bit. So I sort of stopped acting, not for ages, but like a bit. And you know, I
think it's really important to do that.
Yeah.
Like I think we're often told that you can't do that, or like you're missing something. But like I've got a few friends who had to stop for a bit, and like actually just do it. Yeah. It's so important. Like life is more. It's just we love our job and we love what we do, but like life is as important. You know?
Yeah, and sometimes you have those moments, and you just need to look after yourself.
100%.
And like sometimes it can be a way through, you know, like it can also be a way through and a way to help you through difficult, and like but at that point I just like had a little bit of a break, and you're like post uni as well, aren't you? You're kind of trying to figure out what you're doing, and like I moved to Bristol then, and then I was like, I was working at the Hippodrome. I shouldn't say that in this building.
Oh well, we talk about it. We talk about it all the time. Yeah,
come on now, it's good.
I worked at the Hippodrome, and I was like doing other jobs. You know, like you know how it is. You're just like working loads of different jobs, trying to like get by, make money. At Art Said, they were like, I got close to getting into the MA and then didn't, but they were like, you can come and do the foundation instead. Right. So I'd had that break, like I said, I'd had this bit of a break, a bit of a pause. So I went and did that, and it was like part-time. It was quite good because it was part-time and it was like in the evening, so you could also like work and stuff around it.
That's very cool.
It was a like good way.
So you were living in Bristol, but you were
No, I moved.
No, sorry.
Yeah.
So like,
then I moved. Yeah. So then I moved to London for a year, did that. And then I was like, after that, I applied for MAs again. And I ended up going to GSA, to Guildford School of Acting. Yeah.
That's quite nice because you've had like lots of different perspectives.
Loads of places.
Yeah. But also like that will have given you like, I always say with training, it's like take what you want and get rid of the rest.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes people, we spoke about this with Tom Brennan a little bit, but I think that's great to have like loads of different perspectives and like,
Do you have any thoughts on what schools or colleges or drama schools are doing positively for working class performers? And is there like a hell of a lot more they could be doing, or I don't know, for your experiences across those things?
Did you find it? What was your experience of applying to them as well? I guess like did that feel?
Yeah, it was mixed. I think it was mad. Like when I was like 18 or 17, and you're trying to apply, and at that time, because without letting my age. But yeah, it was a long time ago, you know, and like it was mad, like even then you were paying like 40-50 quid or something for an audition, and like you're going like from Chippenham to like most you know, like the closest like Bristol or the theatre school here I did audition for like a couple of times I think, but most of them are like really far away. So like you're going to London or maybe even like I went to like I went and
did Lipper and stuff.
Yeah, I went to like this Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. Like I think that's what it's called now. In Glasgow, and like you're getting a bloody flight.
to go for your 15 minutes audition.
So that part of it is mad. Like you're paying, and like I was like going on the train from Chippenham to London, which like comparatively like it's not that far for some people. They have to like go way further, but it's just like all the money and stuff. And then if you're going through all the different rounds and
well, there's a big campaign now, isn't there, to like scrap the audition fees, which I agree with. Like,
100%,
they've got their money, like it's fine. But then also like there are now things that have been set up to like pay for people who can't afford to like audition or get there, to cover their fees to like get there. But like that's more recent, isn't it? Recent, like that wasn't. I'm guessing that wasn't about when you. Yeah,
I think that's like happened recently, isn't it? In the last like few years, like 5 years or so.
I reckon.
Yeah, I've seen like some of those schemes and like spoke to people about, which is great that they're happening. And some schools have scrapped like audition fees and not all.
Them down a bit.
Not all of them, or reduced them. Now, like obviously self-tapes is like a massive thing. And like so I think that's an option, but still like you sort of still got to have like, you still need equipment and you still need kind of knowledge and know-how like which not everyone has access to, or like a generalization, but younger people are they're probably way better on their phone than I am.
I feel like we can do it on our phones, but it's like phones are expensive still.
A lot of that is down to like geography, locations. That's the reality. And like in a lot of places that won't really have changed. Like here in the building, I think they're doing like great, amazing stuff of reaching and working with young people from like different parts of the city. And like,
that's very cool.
I feel like stuff like that is shifting within theatres and organisations. But even then, like even in Bristol here, there'll be like so many young people and like, or just people that won't access like these places.
Do you think the industry is better than it was 5 years ago for that sort of stuff?
What do I think? I think like yes and no. Like in ways, and I think in other ways probably not. Like sadly, I think the industry, like I feel like it's a bit more open. Like, and I think to people from different backgrounds.
I think it's because we've been like smashing the door down and being like, can we let everyone in? Like I think there's been a big movement towards that. So still not completely. But
there's still like a way to go, obviously.
A long way to
like
go,
there's still like long ways to go. But or like people from, like all underrepresented backgrounds, there's been like a push, hasn't there? Like we need more representation, we need more stories. People like the people in the high up positions are changing and shifting, and who's getting those roles and opportunities is changing. Again, there's still like further to go. But
I feel like and then the boards still feel very the same. And I think we need to like change the top. I feel like. But it feels like underneath is
it is exactly. So it's slowly like changing, and then that kind of trickles down, doesn't it? Depending on who's kind of, or like the group of people that are leading an organization. So I think there's a more like openness to like different stories, artists from different backgrounds. I think it needs to move forward still a lot more. I think in terms of like class, people are like, no, I don't know. There's like there's a nervousness around it. There's sometimes a like hesitancy to speak about it. it's not like visible, like it's harder than some like underrepresented groups, marginalized groups. It's harder to measure, like it's not straightforward, it's complicated. So people can sort of like be a bit nervous of it or unsure, just kind of like push it to the side.
I've also seen people trying to be like, oh well, I'm working class because I don't earn very much, but you're like, yeah, but if you needed to, you could go and live at mum and dad's house and be supported because they're, you know, like I've seen that as well, which is interesting. I mean, not
because you can be. I mean, speaking on behalf of myself, I come from sort of, my parents have always said that I'm that we were working class, but we're not, because of the opportunity. I went to military boarding school. You know, I was in a very good job for over a decade, which caters for everybody. But my opportunities that I had then and I have now, even though I don't, you know, earn much as an artist, still means that the opportunities that they're like, say in the class sense, middle class opportunities, insofar that I could make with the right certain phone calls or leaning on a couple of people, or also just going down certain routes because I have access to them from my background, is still a world of difference. Because whilst my tax return form and my bank account may show someone of very low income, fine, but I have a roof over my head and I have the ability to, you know, if things go bad,
or ask for support,
which and there is a world of difference between those things.
Yeah, it's super like nuanced and complicated, isn't it? That's the thing, and it's different for everybody. Like, and it's not just obviously about finances and money. That's part
it's also
of it.
Mindset as well.
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
mindset, it's culture, like it's background. It's like a way of life and a way of thinking. Which I think, because it's sort of harder to get a handle on, then sometimes like organizations, people can just sort of like not go there, I guess.
Yeah.
And there can be an attitude which I think is really unhelpful of like if you get to a certain point or you work in a certain industry, then you're not working class. Like I think that's rubbish. And I don't think that's helpful to anybody.
Agreed.
I don't think like if I get to a certain point in my career and like, you know, I'm making loads of money, not working in theatre.
We love you, theatre, but there's no money.
But that doesn't mean, do you know what I mean? I don't think that changes like where I've come from and my like class background. Like, and I don't think then that's then helpful to people who are, do you know what I mean? Like the people that I like grew up with that are from my community, like I'm still like, we're still like, they're still my people. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not like now I'm not that because I'm doing this. Like I've heard people say like, do you know what I mean? Some people will be like, oh, if you work in theatre, then that like makes you middle class, which I think is like,
no.
And that's like,
funny,
and that's not the point of theatre, and that's not
artistry. Like, is that because it's
think
seen as like this lofty thing?
It's become and obviously it's not always been. That's not. Theatre.
The origins of theatre was just people telling stories.
Yeah, it's like for like the people and like the common people.
But the buildings can make you feel.
But it's become elitist.
And speaking of your background and your people, I guess just sort of like a knife jumping.
Well, they're not that sounds like mine. I like own. No, like
your friends.
You know what I mean when I say
absolutely.
We know exactly what you mean.
Like community. And
why did you write Destiny?
For them, for sure. I wrote it for like a couple or a few main reasons. I think when I was at GSA at Guildford and I'd like gone through like these few different, you know, like I'd had these different training and been in like these institutions, and by that point, and I was like a bit older by the time I went there, like like mid-20s,
more life experience, worldly.
I guess you've been through some stuff in it.
Yeah.
But I was just getting like, by this point, I just was feeling really frustrated by my experiences, often training, and this is like not all teacher, obviously there's different teachers within these institutions, but my experience was a lot of like being told to like change myself and
Learn
like
RP.
And I like, I was sort of like quite forcefully like told, like not even really encouraged, that I had to like change how I spoke, like change how you dress, like change your like behavior, your demeanor, your attitude. Don't talk about don't talk about your background, don't talk about where you've come from, like people don't want to, like that makes people feel uncomfortable or whatever.
I think also as maybe you don't agree, but like as a woman as well, you're very much trained to be like palatable in the industry and therefore like marketable, like not too many opinions. I think men get away with it slightly more.
No,
just a little bit more.
I mean,
a lot more.
100%. Absolutely.
So I think it's also about putting you in a neat little box to play the leading lady and be quiet and etc. So and I think that's what drama schools do with women, honestly.
I think that was my experience. And like I said, it wasn't like there was some, it wasn't all the teachers within those places. There were some that were like, and were like, like celebrated me as I was and lifted me up. So it's not everybody, but I think I just had a lot of that by the time I got to that point. And I was just like also often like just in these spaces that were like dominated by middle class people. And I was feeling this distance between my home and like where I come from and where I'd grown up and the world that I was like in and the industry that I was in. And I had mad complex about my voice and my accent, and like
I had the same thing. I went and everyone was like, "Oh, where's your tractor?" And I was okay, well I better speak like this then and speak very RP.
And people would say, they'd be like, "Oh," and there would be like certain accents and stuff that were like fashionable, like in vogue, like it's like just feeling a bit I was just getting like angry, like really angry about it. It's fine. I think it's good to be angry about things. It fuels like passion. And I was just getting frustrated and angry about it. And I thought I felt like, which I still feel like, that the West Country in general, obviously I just come from like a town and a specific part of it. I just felt like the West Country in general is not very represented in like theatre and in the art, like on screen and in the arts. So I was like, where are the stories from the West Country? Like, where are they? Like, I wasn't really seeing them or reading them or hearing them. And I wasn't hearing many or seeing many like working like story plays that centered like working class communities and voices and stories and all of that. I did start to see a bit more like when I was in Guildford and London, like, and when I was in Guildford, we'd like get the train it was like close to London to go watch shows and that. But I'd start to see a bit more, but they'd usually be very like urban. They'd be like set in cities and be very urban, which is like great. There needs to be more of those. Like, and some of that stuff, a lot of those plays were like super inspiring to me. But I was like, oh, this is different.
Where's my town? Where's my experience? I was like, what
about the like more like kind of rural, small town? And I still feel like, you kind of often get like the two extremes. Like you get the like super rural, like in the village, like countryside, or you get the kind of urban inner city, and like there needs to be a load more of those. Like that's not it's great that that's happening, but I was like, what about, I felt like my experience and where I was from was like somewhere was different, and I didn't feel like we were really seeing that. So I was just like, I just want to write a play that's like super Chippenham, Wiltshire. It's like specific to my home. And that represents like me and like my my mates, like so that was like one of the big reasons. And
I can confirm you nailed that.
Thanks.
Yeah, mate. That's exactly what came across. It felt like a melding of the middle ground of like, I've got towns, but I'm also a bit further out, and I thought it was great.
And there's quite an urban, because of like the location, thank you. The location
Sorry.
in Chippenham.
Just buttering you up now.
Love. There's like there's a lot of urban influence there because of where it's located. So it's like, I just think, I just feel like you don't really hear or see enough of that kind of perspective. So that was a big part of it. And then it was me like processing stuff as well. And I'll like say that I don't think that's a problem. It was me like healing and processing some things I'd been through in my life that had been really,
well, telling your story like
really
we were talking about earlier.
So it's, it came from personal trauma. Destiny was like, as a character, she was like an amalgamation really of like me and my girlfriends growing up. Like she's not like, it's not like everything in the show is like me, my life as it happened. She was just sort of is like a mix, but it was like just, I don't know, wanting to have a conversation and shine a light on those things. And and like I said, I was like way into my 20s. By the time I was like in this, I don't like saying my age because the character's really young, so they're like, why are you playing a teenager?
Yeah, but also like,
I mean, that's
why not?
Absolutely.
That's what we do. That's what theatre is. Maybe not for TV and film. But for theatre, that's the beauty of theatre. The amount of 16-year-olds I've played in the last couple of years, and I'm just like, I am.
And everyone is everything, and we've all been 14 and 16 or whatever at some point. So.
But obviously, it like really rang true because obviously a lot of it is coming from like a personal place. But like, it obviously rang true so well, like because it's done really well. Like not just in the West Country, right? It's been to London. It's been to like loads of different places. And now, am I right in thinking you are adapting it for TV? Is that what's...
Yeah, we have been like, there's a process of that happening. TV's like long game, but
But that's like really cool. Like how is that different to writing for theatre? Like,
it was really exciting. Like in that example, like situation, because it's a one-woman show, so it's like one character, Destiny. Like, obviously not for people that haven't like seen it or read it or whatever, just a bit of context. So it's her, and like she speaks about other, obviously she's like telling her story, what's going on. She speaks about these other characters and people in her life. So suddenly, like in TV, that's like you open, you can like open it up. So I was like, it feels like a really exciting prospect to me, and like suddenly, like someone she might mention for like 2 lines, a sibling or friend or whoever, they're like a whole. It's like, oh yeah, we can like who are they as a character? Like what's their voice? So it feels really like rich and that to explore. But there's like challenge. You're writing obviously
a different style as well, like the language. Or are you still going for that kind of like poet? Because you got quite poetic in the show.
Yeah, like, and it was the first play I wrote. So like, because as I was saying earlier, because I was had been exploring like poetry, spoken words, like I'd always been into kind of rap, lyrical music, and comedy. So Destiny sort of felt like I'd been thinking I want to try writing a play for like ages, but like I was like on the acting.
So that's the first thing you wrote?
Yeah, the first play.
Play, mate.
Thank you.
All right.
There's a team. There's people helping me. No, but there great. Was it's like I wrote a super rough. Like she was in me. I guess the character was in me because she was like part of me. Yeah. So her voice was always just there. And the story, I kind of knew the story I wanted to tell and what I wanted to say. So I wrote this like epic draft that was probably about 3 hours long.
Wow.
Which nobody needs to read.
But that's what the first draft is. It's just a dump of ideas.
The director's cut.
And then I was like blessed to work with, the director and dramaturg that I worked with.
Was that Jessie?
That was Jessie,
Jessie Jones.
Shout out Jessie.
Shout out Jessie. Love. A lot of respect and admiration for that guy. And like, the show, it became what it is
Yeah.
like through working with him. I worked with him and like Tim Crouch, the playwright,
Oh, really?
like helped like he helped me as a dramaturg, like
Right.
and they were both like
Good
they're
brains.
just amazing brains, and they're both amazing artists, and they helped me like shape it and refine it, and like
I love it.
both of them. Tim was like, he read it in the earlier days, so before me and Jessie started working together, and then he just got like the pen. He was like, he like could see something in the voice and the character in that, but he was just like, no, like 10 pages.
Fair, it was 3 hours.
Yeah.
Fair play.
So that was the learning curve, and that's the thing. Like, sorry, I'm jumping around a bit.
No, it's
but,
great.
It's how my brain works.
Yeah,
It's also how I write.
Hence the 3 hour long draft.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With TV, that's something I'm like learning. TV's is newer, like, and I'm sort of just like tentatively trying to step into it along as well as doing theatre and writing plays. But that's something I really had to learn. You have to be like economical. You can't like I just had a mentor like doing this TV writing scheme, and I had an amazing mentor writer, Julie Geary, who's like, she's been a TV writer for like 20-30 years or something, and like that would be a lot of her note. She'd be like, you're like, we can't sit in a scene for 10 pages of 2 people.
No, but why?
So you have to learn all that. It's like you've got to tell it quickly. So obviously there's exceptions with all of these things. Like sometimes you might watch a TV show and there's 2 people in a room for a while, but generally that's not like how So you have to like you sort of have to like jump around a lot, and the pace you have to move like super quickly. Story, again, it depends on the style, but a lot of the stuff I've been the things I've been writing and like working on has leaned a bit more towards drama. So then it's like you need loads of plot and loads of story, and like that's what whoever they is. That's what they say in TV, that it eats story, like TV.
So you're coming up with more story.
It does kind of bring us to where we're going to now. I think it's time we talk about your absolute scene. The scene from a film, TV show, play, maybe even something else that either got you into this mess or inspires you. So Florence, what is your absolute scene?
I found hard to settle on one thing.
Everyone says that.
Because I think my inspirations and stuff just shift and change, like at different points in my life and depend on what I'm working on and stuff. But then the thing I thought of, and I think this is something that inspired me when I was like super young and like I've come back to. So I was like, I feel like this is the right one to speak about. I sort of felt like it should be something really like cool and edgy and art. It's not.
No, it does not need to be that.
Never,
We've had extenders.
It's cheesy. It's cheesy. Great. But I was like, that's me, innit? We love it. We're being ourselves. Yeah. We're showing up as our authentic self, people.
Amen.
Love it.
So it's a scene from 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
That's great.
No, so it's a scene. It's like the funeral scene from 4 Weddings and a Funeral, where the character Matthew, the actor John Hannah, amazing actor. He's like reading. It's the funeral. His partner has passed away, and it's his funeral. And he's reading the poem, the like funeral blues by W.H. Auden. Auden, I think you say Auden. He's reading that poem in the funeral service. I don't know, that's something, maybe I'm just like morbid or like depressed or sad. Now that film was like always like, it was, we're talking like VHS video times.
Yeah, we are.
And I just remember we had that on video and we used to watch that film. Like that was like one of the films that we used to watch over and over again. And I remember always like that scene always like getting me. Obviously, like a lot of the film is about, it's about love and it's joyful and all these different weddings and all of that stuff. But I remember always like in a maybe yeah, I don't know. In a weird way, I'd always be like waiting. I'd be like, I want the funeral.
Come on.
It's like,
The funeral scene. And I think because I don't know. I think I'm like always. I feel like I come back to like loss a lot in my writing and in my work, and not necessarily always like bereavement and like death, but like how as people how we overcome and how we move forward after we lose people or we lose things. Or I think that's like something that like keeps like reoccurring, like in my writing.
Yeah.
So I'm like drawn to that, I think. So I feel like that was part of it. And I think it's like, I don't know, I just think it's quite even though it is sad, I think it's quite a beautiful moment
it is.
for me. And it's an example of like, it's like art within art, yeah?
Yeah.
So,
Brilliant.
and like I like poetry.
Yeah.
And it's like here, Auden as a poet, as like, you know, he's taken something that's like the biggest heartbreak and loss and turned it into something like beautiful and it's like healing for other people. And how I was like rewatching it recently, that moment, and just like I think it just shows how like we don't often have the words necessarily to articulate how we feel about things, and that's when we
go to other people and poetry.
We go to poetry, we go to song, like we go to like, for me, like art in all forms is like the thing that gets me through life. And like the highs and lows of life is what you turn to, isn't it? So I think it's around that. And because I remember I must have been quite young when I watched it, and this is cringe. When I was doing GCSE drama and you have to do like devised, we all remember it. So I remember thinking I was so like sophisticated.
Oh, we all did it, mate. We all did it.
I like made the group I was working with. I was like, we're putting this poem in our like GCSE devised drama piece. So it had that poem Funeral Blues in it, and it also had The Circle of Life from The Lion King.
Wow.
Yes. What a combination, mate. What a combo.
That's wonderful art.
So, yeah. And,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's about like love. Yeah, that, you know, the film is a celebration of love, isn't it? And like, so that's
that's beautiful. But I love that it connects to like, it just keeps coming up in your own work. I love that's, and also it's interesting that you said that like that was where you started and then you've come back round to it. Because I found that as well. Things I'll be like, oh, that's no, I don't, you know, and then actually you're like, no, but the core of it actually as an adult is what I'm inspired by.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think we're probably
final question.
You're up.
So before we go, I always like to ask, if there was one question someone would ask you, what would it be?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess like, what would I like people to know? I think we're all like, people just have different like layers and versions of themselves, and like I think I maybe have a different side to me that I don't always like show other people, because I think a lot of us do that, is where we like, you know, like I have quite a positive outlook on life, and I like being around other people, so then that brings me joy when I'm connecting and with people. But also I like to be on my own.
I get it.
No, socializing is a lot of work.
Would you like to be on your own? Is that the question?
I'd like to go.
Would you
now.
like some space?
I don't want to talk to you guys anymore.
Sometimes I'm like, don't ask me things, you know what I mean? That's what I want people not to ask me. Yeah.
I hear that.
No, but I think on what you were touching on, I think I like to sort of, I probably prefer listening. I mean, this won't come across in this because people will be like, you've been going on. But
yeah, but we love it.
I like to listen to people and about other people's lives. So generally in life, I will sort of not talk about myself. Maybe I put it into my work, the kind of like...
You've got it covered.
So that's where I get it out. So I'll like listen to other people, what's going on for them, what they're struggling with. And I won't necessarily like
volunteer information
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
My mates will say it. They're like, oh, I'll be with them for like 3 hours. And then just as I leave, I'll be like, drop
Bombshell.
an absolute bombshell. I'll be like, by the way, this is going on. And they'll be like, I gotta go. So yeah, maybe it is that. It's like people being like, yeah, are you good? I don't know if I would tell them if I wasn't. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you ever so much. Well,
Thanks,
I think that's where we're going to draw it to a
let's
close
stop
now.
there.
Right.
That was great.
you
Amazing
so much
answers.
for
Amazing
coming.
absolute scene. Yeah, we're going to give Florence some space now.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That was a bad answer.
It
No.
wasn't. It was wonderful.
So it's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye for me.
Bye. Thanks for having me. See you later.
Great show.
Absolute Scenes is written and hosted by Andy Barton and Gabrielle Shepherd, with music by Brian Hargreaves. Edited by Andy Barton, marketed by Gabrielle Shepherd, with the assistance from the Bristol Old Vic Theatre. We'd like to thank everyone for their continued support, and especially like to thank our guest Florence Espeut-Nickless. If you'd like to support us financially, you'll find links to our Buy Me a Coffee page below. Join us next month when we'll bring you new guests, new banter, and me sporting some new and interesting facial hair. See you next time.